Today, I'm in conversation with Shruthi Reddy, who is the founder of this amazing brand called Sleeplove. Her luxury fashion sleepwear is redefining comfort and helping people enjoy better sleep. Let's dive into her journey and find out the story behind Sleeplove. Welcome to the podcast, Shruthi,
Thank you.
and I'm really excited that you're here. Thank you for doing this. My first question is why sleep as an industry?
So, if you think about it, we are all running behind something called longevity, right? We all want to lead long and healthy lives.
Correct.
And when you look at longevity, there are three core pillars to it. One is rest, one is nutrition, and movement. And there's a lot happening in nutrition and movement already. So when you take movement, there's gyms, there's activewear, there are people coming and constantly telling you how to, improve your performance in movement. Nutrition, a lot is happening again. There's supplements that are coming up. There's protein. There's a lot of awareness that has already built up.
Right.
But rest is something that is so simple, right? We all think that I can just sleep,
Yeah.
but consumers just started realizing that it has become so hard to rest, right? We are constantly hustling, we are constantly moving, and we want to do something all the time. So I think sleep is such a simple thing. It has such simple solutions for you to sleep better, but it's just ignored.
Yeah.
So I think that's where it started, with a simple solution like, okay, I want to do better sleepwear.
Okay.
And that's how I entered sleep as a.
Nice. That's actually an interesting take because not a lot of people are already there, doing this business, especially in this niche, which is a very underrated segment, so to speak, sleepwear. But how was your journey so far in building this business and how is it going right now?
In a market like India, sleep as a category or sleep is still very nascent. People are just starting to realize that they want to sleep better, and better sleep can actually enhance a lot of things in their life, like cognitive, like cognition,
Yeah.
your movement. It improves your nutrition, it improves your gut health. Like basically it improves a lot of things. Like good sleep can improve a lot of things in your life, improving your overall well-being.
Yes.
But if you take market like India, we're all led by Western influence, right? Only
Like
when
what kind of influence in Western?
take it fashion,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of Western influence. Something has to be popular in the West for us to sort of take it.
Okay.
Take it movement, take it nutrition, take it anything. West sort of influences East in a lot of ways. So something has to become so popular and so core in the West for people to adapt here, right? Like even if you take slow living as a concept, like everything has to become a trend and become a core trend for India and countries like India to adapt it as a lifestyle here. So when you take sleep, West has just realized that sleep is so important. There are so many brands, so many companies, so many entrepreneurs doing a lot of things in sleep and innovating a lot of things. AI is coming up in sleep. There are mattresses that are, AI driven. Like,
Really?
yes,
I'm like hearing it.
so much is happening. But
Okay.
in India, it is very nascent. So that's one challenge for me to like reach the customers. But I think it's a very interesting problem to solve. And, that's what excites us.
I think in India also, like it's as you said, it's a completely new topic, or it's at a very nascent stage, so to speak. That even I, as a person, I was never interested about it. Like how to enhance your sleep. That is something that we just don't focus or pay attention to. At this point of time, what you are doing is something really extraordinary, for so to speak. But then again, to build a brand like this into sleep, what kind of challenges are you facing at this point of time, or you faced just right before starting? Because yours is a brand which is, I'm not sure if it's having that kind of competition, but who are your competitors and how did you even plan to start this as a challenge? When we talk about India and the sleepwear market here in India, people don't just think about creating that kind of ambience or just thinking of a simple luxury of having a good sleep. For most, having a private space also is a issue, right? Not everyone has it. In this market, like, who are you trying to cater to, And what is the challenge that you are facing in all this business when you're running this? Is it a luxury thing that you're trying to sell?
See, I really don't believe sleep is a luxury. I believe sleep is a necessity.
Okay.
Okay. But of course, in a country like in a country like India with huge population where there's huge competition, we are constantly hustling. Good sleep has become luxury, right? Slowing down has become luxury. You cannot slow down because you are hustling, you're working, you need to get to your work, and then you're coming home, you have kids to take care, so many things, right? So it has become a luxury, but I really believe that it's a necessity to have to let you function and lead a better life. But of course, when I started Sleeplove, I wanted to get into the market with some of the best fabrics that we can give, the best finishing, the best product that I can get out. So when you're trying to cater with the best product, it comes with a cost, right? So it's not necessarily entering a luxury market or premium market for me. The cost sort of rose up because we were trying to cater with the best product, and it went and fell into the luxury category. Now, since we are scaling up and since we are getting into a larger market and larger volume, so we are going to cut down costs for certain products where we are also catering to premium segment and then much larger audience. Um, but otherwise, yes, I really don't think it's a luxury. I really think it's a necessity that everyone has to work on. And I just want to add one more point to this. When we think of bettering our sleep or when we think of getting good sleep, we all of us go and look for very complex solutions. Like, should I take sleep supplement? Should I, take magnesium? Should I take melatonin? Should I do this? Should I do that? But, very simple thing like fixing your environment, fixing your lighting in your bedroom, noise, making it noiseless, getting a better bed sheet, mattress, wearing a softer clothing will let you unwind so naturally that you will fall asleep and your sleep is instantly better that night, right? And another thing is, yes, a lot of people are tracking their sleep now. Whoop has become so common, right? And then doctors are suggesting you to track your sleep, and then like if
Correct.
you're not sleeping better, don't work out. So it's a basic necessity, I think, that we all need to start tracking and start taking care of. And sleepwear is just a very small part of it to just better your sleep hygiene.
On that note, like, how big is the sleepwear market in general?
So in India, it's around 18,000 crore market,
Okay.
which is just the premium market. I'm talking about premium and luxury. If you take mass market, it's much wider, much larger. But then brands like Clovia, Zivame, all of these are already leading the mass market right now. And it's also very crowded there. There are nighties, there are pajamas, there are there's outdated designs, there's not great fabrics. So we didn't even want to enter that market because there's already a lot happening there. But if you take premium and luxury segment, it has already evolved in developed countries like the US or Europe, UAE. But if you take India as a market, since it has still been nascent, and like you said, a lot of people are just realizing that they want to improve their sleep or improve their sleep hygiene, brands are just popping up. I've just heard that Adidas is also doing research
Okay.
with
That's
athletes because recovery and rest has become such a core part to athletes. They want to get better sleepwear and recovery clothing for athletes. So there are brands that are doing great stuff in recovery and rest and restorative wellness, where I'm looking at Sleeplove sort of entering that, and then being a sleepwear is going to be one part of it. Much larger vision is what we have.
Shruti, how has your journey been so far as an entrepreneur?
It's been super exciting, um, and super challenging as well. Um, yeah, a lot of learnings, a lot of unlearnings, um, you know, learning how to be a better leader, how to be a better founder, better business person. So, yeah, a lot of learnings and pivots have happened. Yeah, anything in particular if you want me to talk
What are
about?
the unlearnings that you had to do? That's more interesting, I guess.
Um, See, every person or every founder has their own strengths, right? Founders are not necessarily business people or business owners or great at running businesses,
Right.
right? Founders are just someone with a great solution for a problem. So they're just obsessed with a problem that they want to pick and solve, but they're not necessarily great business owners. So I think that's the case with me as well, right? I'm a problem solver. I love solving problems, and I think that's how this whole entrepreneurship and I wanting to start something has started for me, and that's what I enjoy the most about being a founder and being an entrepreneur. But learning to run a business, learning to run a business that can sustain and grow and become profitable is something that is is something that I didn't have when I started Sleeplove, right? But that's something that I'm learning, and of course, I'm still learning. It will be a learning, maybe like until I stop working.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I had to unlearn a lot of things while I went through my last 2.5 years of journey. I'm really obsessed with product, right? Like as a founder, and I'm perfectionist by nature when it comes to product and what solution I'm offering. And that's not necessarily a great thing for your business all the time, right?
Yeah.
Your cogs might go up, or you might be obsessed with details that might not necessarily matter to your consumer, right?
Okay.
So those are some unlearnings that I had to do.
Right.
So very small, tiny things, and the second thing is, of course, like you need a great team to build anything, right? You cannot build anything solo. But I'm not necessarily a great people person, right? Which I think most of the founders are, or some of the founders are, some of the founders are not. So I had to.
Is there a personality type common to a lot of founders?
I don't think so. I just think that you pick any founder or any entrepreneur, you'll just see that they're just obsessed with their problem that they're trying to solve. That's it. I don't think it's a I don't necessarily think they're very interesting people also, right? They could be the most boring people. It's just that they're very obsessed with one problem that they want to solve in the most interesting way, or in the way that they think is the most viable solution, right? So that's the skill they have. So there are a lot of other skills that they won't have, which they have to learn. Like it can be simple as finance, it can be as simple as building a great team. So all of these things, because when you're starting up, you don't have HR, you don't have a finance person, you don't have a operations person, right? You are literally everything, right?
Yes.
So you need to unlearn a lot of things in those areas, and then you need to learn how to actually get better at those things and do it. Yeah. So yeah, a lot of learnings and unlearnings.
So that brings me to one more question, which is how do people who are just starting, right, or people who want to start a business, especially young women who want to become an entrepreneur, how can they navigate into this area and start a business?
You mean fashion?
Fashion per se, but then not just into fashion, like maybe in any other domain as well.
So if you want to start something, three primary things. One is think as big as you can, right? um, Big can mean anything to you. It can mean super large, big, slightly smaller. But whatever is your vision, I think you need to have a vision, right?
Okay.
The vision can evolve, but you still need to have a vision. And you start very small, right? You have to start small, very small. Like you're just one founder starting from your home, sitting and start working on your idea. Two things. And as you start working on your bigger vision, you need to pivot. You need to know where you're doing mistakes, where you're doing wrong, and you need to pivot as quickly as possible for you to reach your vision. So these three things are super important. So you having a bigger vision, knowing what your vision is, starting very small, very lean, not burning too much, right? And also just pivoting wherever necessary, wherever you think you're going wrong, wherever you think you might have to go to make sure you're being more relevant in the market. So while you do this, very early on, you need to find a product market fit, right? You developed a product, you developed an MVP. It can be as simple as, like, you take fashion, for example. A designer might have his own aesthetic or design sensibilities that he wants to put out in the market. You need to find the product market fit for it, right? Who are your consumers? Who are liking your designs? Like, is it women in 30s? Is it women in 40s? Or is it women in urban cities, right? You find your consumer and you find your market fit, and that's when you sort of start scaling and start growing bigger and bigger. Otherwise, you pivot. So these tiny things will actually let you cross the very early stages of your business and enter a much more profitable and sustainable phase.
When you're saying sleep as a category, and when you're selling it to people, sleepwear, how much of it, how much of your sleepwear is enhancing and getting actual sleep to people? Like when people sell mattresses, they'll talk about, oh, you sleep on this and you'll get good sleep quality. Is there any data that you can, data point or science backed point that you want to bring up as a good strong point to sell the good selling point basically for the product?
So right now we don't have any specific data because we also didn't deep dive into it very specifically as to how better your sleep is getting or how longer are you sleeping. Because when you look at the metrics of better sleep, there are two things. One is how longer are you sleeping and how better are you sleeping or how deeper are you sleeping, right? So we really are not tracking. But the science behind what we're doing right now is, for your body to actually sleep better or for you to sleep better, it needs to unwind and it needs to get into the zone of rest to eventually fall asleep and get into the deeper zone of rest and sleep.
Okay.
For that, your body's temperature has to lower. Okay, so when you wear clothes that are letting your blood flow better, which are more comfortable and looser clothing, or when you're wearing natural fabrics, which are like naturally temperature regulating, like silk or cotton, they're cooling your body down. So all of these very minute things, which are happening naturally because we are choosing such fabrics. So right now we are not developing anything that is not already available. So these simple things let your body basically unwind and sleep better. Now we are working with our manufacturers, where we are doing R&D and we are developing fabrics, which will let two things happen to your body. One is which will let the body's temperature fall 2 to 3 degrees or up to 5 degrees, which will help your body cool. Okay.
Yeah.
This will let you sleep better. And if you look at our consumer right now, like who is a woman primarily, in her 30s, 40s, 50s, right? Lot of these women suffer from hot flashes. Okay, either because they're going through a menstrual cycles or hormonal fluctuations, could be during their menopause, perimenopause, even cancer patients. Lot of issues are coming up which give you these hot flashes. So wearing sleepwear that is letting your body cool down will basically help you not wake up in the middle of the night again and again because of those hot flashes. So we're working on those fabrics. That is one thing that we are developing currently.
Nice.
The other thing is the silhouettes are designed in such a way that they are not restricting your movement and restricting your body's blood flow, which will again naturally let you get into the deeper zone of rest. So yeah, these are the two things so these are very simple things.
Simple things.
Yeah.
Yet very effective.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people pay attention to this.
Yes.
Actually, even I as a person, like I would never think of it that just by adding a sleepwear before my sleeping journey or whatever you call it.
Sleeping ritual.
Ritual. So even that will add.
See, it doesn't literally have to be sleepwear, right? Whatever you are wearing, you consciously choose something that is helping you unwind and in the end sleep. Right? Because we are not creating anything that's so like out of the box, right? But it's just that sleep as a problem is actually getting more and more complex every day, right? Complex and common, right? We used to be like, our parents, probably in their 30s or 40s, never struggled to sleep. Like, if I take my parents today, if I go and talk to them, they actually sleep very well, right? So it's just that I think a lot of environmental factors, the stress factors, the lifestyle, all of these are actually making sleep problems very complex. So you fix it with the most simplest of the solutions, number one.
Yeah.
Second is, of course, there will come complex solutions to these problems, which, like, people who have complex sleep solutions will definitely need. But on an everyday basis, fixing your sleep ritual, fixing your like evening routine, night routine, or morning routine can actually fix a lot of your lifestyle issues, including your sleep.
But speaking of marketing, how much do you spend on marketing?
So marketing is a huge chunk of our cost right now. There are two huge costs. One is marketing, one is our COGS, which is our cost of the product.
Yeah.
Right. Since we just started out and we are just a 2-year-old brand, Sleeplove is a 2-year-old brand. So a lot of effort and cost goes into bringing the awareness of the brand to the consumers. So consumers should just know that, okay, a brand like Sleeplove exists, right?
Yeah.
So good amount of money goes there, where we are doing performance marketing, and running ads to reach the customers, to make sure they're aware that a brand like Sleeplove exists.
Okay.
And the second bit of it is, since we are a new brand again, we were and we still are spending good chunk of money of our marketing budget into understanding what creatives work for us, what communication works for us, what positioning exactly works for us. So a lot of creative testing happens. Okay, so if you want to test a campaign, we churn out a bunch of creatives to put out there and see what's working for us.
Yeah.
So that's how we do our performance marketing, which is a huge chunk of. So there's no fixed amount to it, because if you take fashion or clothing, or to be honest, like any business in India, it's sort of seasonal.
So is it
Right.
something that evolves for each business, the kind of trial and error that you're doing? Is it like an evolving thing and evolves for each business in a very organic and a unique way? Or there's a way or blueprint that you can follow, oh, so and so business did that. So we'll follow the same kind of marketing blueprint for our company also, and we'll try and see and make it work.
So I don't think there's any blueprint.
Okay.
Of course, it's very important for you to deep dive into some of very relatable brands' journeys and see what has worked for them, what they're doing.
Yeah.
Are they doing more founder videos? Are they doing, what sort of content is, hooking the audience?
Yeah.
Maybe who their target audience is. Some of those things you can definitely pick, right? But I don't think there's any fixed blueprint.
Right.
Because your brand narrative has to be very unique to your brand.
Okay.
Right? And then how can you go copy someone else's blueprint, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you need to create your own blueprint, your own narrative, your own target audience, your own hooks, your own like journey. And I really believe the story of the brand, the story of the founder, all of the product are very, very important for your marketing to work. Because see, right now, every brand has 10 lakh, 5 lakh, whatever, like X amount of marketing budget.
Yeah.
Everyone can go run an ad on Meta. Everyone is trying to reach the same audience, right? Yes. So whose ad is the audience seeing? Whose ad is converting better? Whose brand are they buying from? Right?
Yeah.
Now that completely depends on what story the brand is telling, what the brand is talking about, what communication, and then end of the day, it's the product again. How better your product is and how better you're serving. So there's no particular blueprint. You just pick your own story, be authentic, and it evolves, right? Like any business has to evolve. Like I cannot say I know everything on day one. Like when I started Sleeplove, I actually started with like just pillow covers. because I wanted to sell silk pillow covers. I thought, oh, they're really soft. It was not available in India. I wanted to cater to the audience.
So is that how it started? You started selling silk pillows?
Yeah, I was in the US for like 6 to 7 months,
Okay.
and then I used silk pillow covers there, and then I came back to India and I tried to find them. I didn't find them. I always had this entrepreneurial bug in me, and then that's when I thought, okay, why not start? So I just started with silk pillow covers, and then I got sleep masks. I ordered a bunch of them, and then I made my own website because I studied
Amazing.
IT. I know how to do it. So I I just put it out there and I started selling. But then that's when COVID hit. We started spending a lot more time at home. And then, I realized that we didn't have great clothes to wear at home, because at that point in time, when you talk about fashion or clothing, style was the primary factor, right? It has to look
Before COVID,
stylish.
this was.
Yes.
Okay.
Like it has to look stylish. You're wearing
Right.
something,
Even at home also you want to have that nice feel
yeah,
factor.
otherwise you're just changing into your old t-shirts,
Correct. Yeah.
looking super shabby, or you're looking super stylish. There was no in between factor, which I think is comfort.
Yeah.
So when we started spending a lot more time at home, my friends were visiting me at home. We were spending time with family, partners, and that's when I realized we don't have great clothes to wear at home, which are also comfortable in. And that's how I started making pajamas, which were looking much more prettier, much softer, nicer. And then I just started talking to my friends, and then they wanted it. So it started very small, and today it has evolved. So and I'm sure in the next 2 years we'll be doing much interesting, amazing stuff than what we are doing today. So yeah, any business, any story, any narrative. But I just think that the problem that you're trying to solve
Needs
is
to be
something that,
addressed.
yes, is something that you'll keep solving for, but the solution will just keep evolving, and your narrative will just keep getting better and better.
But there's also one thing, when people talk about sleep as such, or sleepwear fashion in the sense, they'll only think about women or ladies. That is the first thing that comes to your mind. Like, okay, if I'm a woman, I have to just wear and look good in my pajamas or nighties or whatever. But then what about men? Like, they are not expected to, wear things like these at home. Or what is the narrative in general? How, and are you even catering to men in the first place?
So when you take any clothing, there are two things to it, right? One is your look and feel and style of it. The other is your comfort, functionality, and these aspects, right? When you take sleepwear also, it's the same thing. How do you look and feel in it? Plus how the functionality bit of it, how better you're sleeping in it, how it's improving your sleep. So so right now, how we focus and how we bring these two things is, one is, of course, the designs are more elevated. We're making better prints. It's making you look better, and and then the other is we are using all these plant-based fabrics and very organic and natural fabrics.
Which are what? Like, what kind of fabric?
We use a fabric called modal.
Okay.
These
Which
are
is
all,
also being used for a lot of soft underwears nowadays.
yes,
Yeah.
it's a plant-based fabric. It's made from beech trees. So it's sort of temperature regulating. It also is more breathable compared to your synthetic fibers. So it instantly winds down your body.
Yeah.
So it's used in your innerwear, it's used in your sleepwear, and also we use organic cotton. We use silk, which is much more luxurious. So we limit it to our luxury collection. Okay, so coming back to men and women.
Yeah.
So when you take looks as a factor, right, for sleepwear, in my research, I really understood that men don't really care much, right? But women do, right? And this whole thing of, there are two, three things that affect this and or influence this. One is your, Instagram content, your Instagram influencers wearing those robes, pajamas, doing skincare. We want to do that. Is it for someone else? No, it's just for ourselves, but we still want to do that. Men are not in that, right? Second is improving their sleep. Okay, that is something both the genders are still like very nascent to that concept, and they're being becoming more aware to it. So in my research, we do have sleepwear for men.
Yeah.
We do just have just have a couple of pairs now, but we are working on it. We are developing sleepwear for men, where functionality is becoming the core aspect than how you're feeling and looking in it, which is to improve your sleep. Um, so when we ask a lot of men, what do you wear when you're sleeping? Um, I've understood that they just sleep in their boxers, right?
Exactly. And a lot of brands also which have popped up, right? Like for example, there's I'm not sure if Bummers is doing underwear plus boxes, but there are like, to just their idea was to just, break the monotony. So they came up with really cool designs and for underwear, boxers and things like that. Even for you, if you're saying that men are not really concerned about the looks, but still there are brands who exist and, trying to cater to an audience who want good looking piece of clothing.
Yes, men. I'm not excluding men. Men is definitely our audience. It's not a primary audience right now.
Okay.
So with our current product line and with our current aesthetics and design, women has been primary and centric, but we've been catering to men in two ways. Woman is our consumer who is coming and buying from us, is our customer. But then we do have men's pajamas where the woman is buying for the male audience here because she
Okay.
is the partner.
That's an interesting observation.
Yeah. So she is buying for her husband or boyfriend or brother or father, but here the woman is buying for the whole family,
Family.
right?
Okay.
And very interestingly, there are men who come and buy from us for women as well.
So yours, like, okay, you are also being perceived as a gifting option
Yes.
for a lot of things.
Yes.
That's a really, I mean, it's a discovery of a sort. Like, you might have not thought about it, but it's people are using it for gifting purposes.
So gifting has always been on my mind since we started
Okay.
because again, gifting market is also a huge market opportunity right
Do
now
you
in
see
India.
peak consumption of the product around specific festivals or times during the year? Like,
Yes. So fashion as a segment is very seasonal in India.
okay.
Probably in other countries as well, but it's very seasonal here. So since we're sleepwear, I won't call it fashion, I'll call it lifestyle, right? But we still see a seasonality in our brand. Yeah. So you take October, November, December, every business does at their peak.
Oh.
Yeah, because the consumption is high. People are celebrating Diwali. People are going on vacations. There's Christmas. There's Dashera. So the consumption is at peak for any businesses during that quarter. And then there's a slight dip during your monsoon quarter or pre-monsoon
People are
quarter.
not going out
Yeah,
much and all of
yeah.
that.
But other than that, usually because it's sleepwear, there's not huge influence of seasonality. But yes, we do see it.
What are the product lineups in your brand? Like right now, you started with pillow covers. Then there is sleepwear. Can you just walk us through the product lineup that you have?
So while I walk you through the product line, I'll also walk you through our journey and just like deep dive into what we've been doing. Um, so like I said, I started with pillow covers and then we started with a bunch of pajamas and started talking to the audience. And in the last 2 years we've done around 12 to 15 pop-ups pan India, like across India. We went to even cities like Surat, Ahmedabad. um, and then I myself was there in most of these pop-ups to understand basically what the customers are even looking for. So we started with pajamas, and then when we were out there, a lot of people were asking for lounge wear because they wanted something to wear outside as well that is more comfortable. And since we were in luxury segment and our pricing was high, we were trying to understand where the willingness of the consumer to spend a little higher is there. You want to spend a little higher, right? So what are those key moments that the consumer wants to spend a little more? So we then introduced loungewear because a lot of these women were traveling. They wanted something more prettier and comfortable to wear, probably in a resort or on their vacation. So that's how we got into loungewear. We started introducing cords and like dresses that are more comfortable and loungy to wear during your holiday. And then we also realized that every bride or every woman who is getting married is shopping for sleepwear and intimates, right?
For their honeymoon
Yes,
thing. Yeah.
yes, and they want slightly more elevated stuff. They're willing to pay more, and weddings in India is a huge market. So we got into bridal as a category. We did our bridal edit. It went really well. We collaborated with a couple of influencers who were getting married at that point. And bridal robes is a big thing now. Everyone wants to be seen in a pretty bridal robe, getting their makeup done. And honeymoon, definitely you want to spend and buy something much more elevated. So we got into bridal as a category. And then,
And I'm sure pretty much like not a lot of brands are doing this. So is there a tough competition in these things, these areas also?
so there are brands like Victoria's Secret, where they do robes.
But
Where
that is expensive already, right?
yes, so price wise, we are on the same par.
Okay.
Victoria's Secret or
How about the quality also, like at the same time?
so quality wise, of course, we are much higher in two things. One is we still manufacture in very small batches, right?
Okay.
So the stitching, the finishing, everything is like way more elevated than you take Victoria's Secret, which is mass manufactured right now.
Right.
And fabric wise, we only use natural, organic, plant based fabrics, where Victoria's Secrets you see polyester added to most of their sleepwear.
Mm-hmm.
So, like that, if you take a comparison, of course, product and quality wise, we are much higher than what they're doing. And even designs, right? Like as a brand, Victoria's Secret is right, sort of
Yeah, it's
outdated right
very
now. Yeah.
out there,
And
famous and
if
all.
you take Indian women and Indian bodies,
Yes.
we don't really fit into Western concept of silhouette, Western sizing of the product, right?
Yeah, they sell in like sizes medium, short, long, and you sometimes that also differs. I think India is yet to come up with their own size chart, like Indian market. But then we are still following what US, UK, and these markets do.
Yes,
So that
yes.
is something that it is yet to be evolved, right?
Since we don't have really big fashion brands that have come out of India yet, of course, there are coming up now, but then since it just started very recently, we still don't have a very standard size chart for India, like you said.
Yeah.
So a lot of brands do pick up from Western brands, which is where I think a lot of brands go wrong, because our bodies are very different
Mhm.
compared to European bodies or American bodies, right? So we need our own size chart. So we do a lot of research in that aspect
Okay.
as well.
At what point of time did you start doing the research?
We just did very simple thing. So in my team, we were 4 women when we started looking at the size chart and like started deep diving into it, and all of us were different bodies, shapes and sizes.
Mm-hmm.
All we did was we experimented a lot with ourselves. Like, I wore something, then there was someone else who was a medium with like a different body shape. There was someone else who was an L with a different body shape, someone else with XS with a different body shape. So we were doing a lot of trial and error. I invited a couple of my friends to come over and then try a couple of things. So we tried and tested on our own bodies and then friends and family. And then we sort of then went and looked at other Indian brands that are doing really well in the market and did a comparison between our size chart that we sort of derived and also like what other brands are using, and came up with our own size chart, and simplified it to a level where consumer can sort of understand it on the website now.
What kind of resources do they need, and where can they start working on, building a business?
So one is you will need capital. The other is you will need a really strong team to build your MVP or your first version
What
of
is
product,
MVP?
minimum viable product. So you'll need capital, you will need a good team, and
But how? Like, let's say I'm starting a business. I won't have a team right away, right? So, is it something that I'll have to work on from day one? And let's say I don't have money to pay people to work with me. How do I bring people? Like, how did you navigate this in the very beginning?
see, if you're literally just starting up, to
Mhm.
be honest, um, you don't really need a team, right?
Okay,
Like team is something that'll happen as you start working on your idea. So if you're talking about day zero, of
right.
course you won't have a team, and you won't need a team on day zero, right? But first, the very first step is, there are hundreds of ideas, right? Having great ideas doesn't mean that you're going to be a great entrepreneur or you're going to build a great company, right? Ideas are not scarce now. Everyone has tens and thousands of ideas. Like every minute we have ideas popping out, right? But what is that one idea you want to work on? So the first thing that you need to do is you need to sit on the idea. You need to process the idea. You need to do your own research. And to do that, these days you have AI and AI apps so accessible to you. You have internet, which is so accessible. You have communities, which is on Instagram, there's Reddit, there's Substack, like there's hundreds of applications which are making you so closer to the audience. um, so the first step is for you to even sit, process the idea, work on the idea all by yourself, research on the idea, and understand if this is the idea you even want to invest your energy and capital and bring in a team who wants to work on it, right? um, so if I take Sleeplove as an example, it's not like I woke up today and I said I want to do Sleeplove and I went and hired a team, right? um, it started very naturally and organically, where I wanted to do something, is how it might start for a lot of people, right? A lot of entrepreneurs have this entrepreneurial bug, like you want to build something of your own, and then
Right.
that's when you sort of, you're trying to see problems out there, and you want to pick a problem that you want to solve for,
Yep.
right? And then comes your problem of capital, then comes your problem of team, right? So I'll say, when it comes to team, find a great co-founder, right? Because nothing can be built alone, again. um, and then you find your core team. Like for me, my core team would be getting a great designer, because I don't come from a design background. I come from an IT background, and then I studied business. So I need a great designer. So I got in a designer from NIFT. She's
Okay.
great. She's fantastic. And then I'll need a great brand person who is bringing out my brand narrative and putting out in front of the consumer. So of course I don't have a brand person right now, and I'm the brand person right now because we're still a startup, but I'm going to get a great brand person on board. So every business, depending on the nature and the industry, you will have certain key people that you will need for that product to be built. And once you understand what is your core and what is your co-founder's core, then you need to fill in with those roles that are mandatory. So right now we'll need a customer support person, we'll need a production person because it's a physical product, right? We need a designer because someone has to design it. So we started filling roles one after the other. It's not like you go and hire 10 people or 5 people at a time. Coming to capital, again, so it completely depends on what and how big and how quick you want to build it, right? So someone might be building the same, like if someone else is building Sleeplove, their pace of building it might be very different from my pace. They might be much quicker, they might be much slower, right? So you need to understand your pace, and you need to understand what sort of capital is required for the growth that you want your company to grow at, right? So that's the reason I'll say start very lean, right? If you have your friends and family to go raise capital, if someone else is interested in your idea, of course,
Yep.
you'll have people who are investing in you, and that's how it starts for most people. So when you're putting in your own money, it's called bootstrapped, and
Right.
so many people start by bootstrapping it. Otherwise, they reach out to friends and family to get them as angels. And once for the VCs and micro VCs to enter, you
Mhm.
need to be in the market. Like they look for certain product market fit and market validation to happen on your product.
So you
Uh,
have to have some kind of sales already under your.
Not necessarily. Of course, there are brands or there are businesses which are funded even before they have revenue, which is called pre-seed.
Okay. Okay.
Um,
That's called
um,
pre-seed.
yeah,
Yeah.
at an idea stage itself, right? But if you take businesses like fashion, usually you will come across VCs who are looking for product market fit, because it all depends on your product design, how many customers have accepted your product in the market, so that they come in at a stage where they're pumping in capital for you to grow, right?
Okay. Yeah.
They're not coming and pumping in the capital for you to burn and try to understand the product market fit.
Correct.
So usually that's where they enter, but of course it varies from industries. Like if you take tech or AI, they enter when probably at the idea stage, because the valuations are much bigger when they enter revenue stage. But fashion is very different.
But is it always easy to build a fashion based business?
So starting a business right now, I don't know about other industries, but if I take fashion or if I take D2C specifically, it's actually much easier right now compared to what it was probably 5 years back or 10 years back, right? Because again, like I said, there's AI for you to do your research, like get a lot of material. You can just go and research on hundreds of the brands that are out there. Then reaching your audience has become much easier because of these social platforms. Content creation has become easier now. Everyone has an iPhone, and access to manufacturers has become easier, right? Like white labeling has become so common. Like if you take skincare, if you take pharma, if you take nutrition, white labeling is so common right now.
Yeah, I see a lot of people, going to China, procuring it, and then branding it or rebranding it based on their own taste and liking, and then selling it again to the consumers.
Yeah. So starting up,
But yours is a made in India brand, right? So
yes, completely made in India.
everything, all the fabric from materials and everything is sourced
Yes.
from here locally, right?
Yes, but I don't think that's necessarily a great thing or a good thing. Because I completely believe, and at least like how we are building Sleeplove, is that we want it to be a global brand. We definitely want to serve international markets. And
Does that mean that you want to procure materials from other countries as well, and then like whichever is cheaper cost wise?
it's not always about cost. To be very honest, China, Vietnam, these countries have great or greater manufacturing capabilities than India. It's so biggest challenge, biggest challenge if I have to take about starting a business right now is, especially if you're starting in premium or luxury, right? You want the product to be top notch, right? I want to give the best product to the consumer. My biggest challenge has been to find that best product, to make sure we are doing the best product, because manufacturing in India still has a long way to go. Okay. Manufacturers don't give you products on time. A lot of quality issues. Their manufacturing capabilities are not still as great as China. So
where is the gap? Like, do you think a lot of regulation is required in Indian laws?
I don't think it's regulation. I think it is skilling issue.
Okay.
We have a lot of labor, but the labor is not skilled enough.
I'm sure the manufacturers also must be like, training or investing into training laborers or skilled people. But why is there a shortage of skilled people still?
We do have labor, okay?
Right.
Skilling cannot happen from one end, which is private. It has to be an initiative that government of India has to take and upskill the labor. And it is happening, okay?
Right.
It is happening, but it is not happening to an extent where the labor is upskilled with the latest technology. Like if you just pick technology in manufacturing, China or countries like China, Vietnam, all of these countries, they have great technology available, number one, okay? And they have labor who can utilize the technology. For us, technology gap is there, and then there is gap in labor who can even utilize the technology. So there are two. So if you want a private organization or an industry to come and upskill their labor, capital comes into picture, affordability comes into picture, right? There are hundreds of laborer, thousands of laborer within each factory or industry. So it's not something that they can do it by themselves. It has to be an initiative that's coming, from the
From the
top,
top.
and
Yeah.
it's trickling down to the bottom, which I don't think is happening. So that's the reason a lot of Indian brands, if you'll see, I see a lot of athleisure brands who are going to China and getting their fabrics, and I've spoken to a few of them because I personally like meet them. And the reason is not because it's cheaper. The reason is quality is better,
Okay.
and so many founders serving in the premium market want to serve a better product, right? So my choice was very conscious. I wanted to pick Indian manufacturers, Indian market, and Indian fabrics that are grown and like manufactured in India to work with. But it's still a huge challenge. There are days when I wake up and say, why should I stick to manufacturing only in India when I can like solve my problems by going to Chinese manufacturers like who are on time, no quality issues, like they just know how to work with brands. So I think that's very necessary for us to like get that in India for brands to sort of utilize them and also like grow.
Do you think it could be a capital issue as well? Because maybe the government, even though they are, spending resources, money wise, everything, a lot of programs being done. But at the end, what does it boil down to? Is it corruption eating all of it? Or you can say maybe, we are short of funds. What is it exactly if we take down to the
um
root cause?
I really don't know, and maybe I'm not the right person to like talk about the things, but I think my perspective is that the priorities are different, right? If a country like India has to get to that level, we have to be really, really prioritizing education and upskilling and skill gap. And it's not just in manufacturing; it's everywhere. Like if you take technology,
Yeah.
there's a huge skill gap, right? AI has taken like over the world, and like West has moved on, but in India, like if I want to right now find a team who is well versed with AI, I cannot find anyone, right? So there's gap everywhere, there's gap across. So one is prioritizing and saying that of course these are the gaps and we want to invest in these things is one thing. Second is understanding it to a level where what exactly is the solution, right? Like just going and making sure people are, you know, getting out of college doesn't mean you're a great engineer, right? Your curriculum needs to be updated. What you're taught needs to be updated. Your teachers need to be much more skilled.
Right. All
These,
of it.
yeah, it's a very holistic approach that I think government of India has to take um, across sectors. It's not just in manufacturing. We are one of the largest manufacturers, right? Like India has like a huge manufacturing setup, but the only problem is most of the exports, like if you take exports, the quality of the exports is also still very low if you take global
Right.
yeah level.
So you mentioned that you studied business, right? Like, so what kind of education did you have? Um, how did you prepare yourself, in order to become a founder in the first place?
Entrepreneurship and founder, I think, comes naturally to me and to most of the people. But yeah, I studied IT, and then I worked in IT, worked with a few tech startups, primarily in fintech and edtech.
Yeah.
Worked very closely with founders there, very smart founders. And then I moved on to do my MBA in ISB. That's when I sort of fixated on Sleeplove as an idea that I really want to deep dive and work on. So to start up, I won't say necessarily any of my education really influenced it or helped me. But my journey with working with the founders, right, really helped me because I really worked with startups that have come from 0 to 1, right? Like where Sleeplove has come until now. I really worked with such startups. But then ISB education really helped me understand how I can scale businesses, or how to look at a business, or how to look at an idea as a business, and what are the things and functions that are necessary to build a business, is what ISB has helped me, or MBA education has helped me with.
Wow.
And also, there's a lot of networking that happens, right, when you're in B school.
ISB, yeah, of course.
Yeah. So, and
Did they help you in like scaling in any sort?
so I'm part of this incubation center in ISB, which is called iVenture. So they do sort of support. They're supporting me with my fundraise. So they are connecting me with
Nice.
VCs and sort of putting me out there whenever there's an opportunity. But other than that, even with your peers, right? Like everyone that I studied with, they're super passionate people, right? They want to always do something, and then they're helping you out whenever you want to do something. They're pushing you to do something great. So I think that in itself gave me that confidence and push to sort of start. And like even now we meet often, and then the conversations are around how we can do something better, or they offer me solutions whenever I face a problem, like I can go to them. So that sort of support is what ISB and my B school education has given me. Um, Other than that, of course, since I don't come from a business background or business family, things like understanding finance better, operations better,
Yeah.
all of these things, a
All the
lot of
theories and concepts you learned
yes,
there.
yes.
Wow.
So a lot of case studies that you go through.
Let's say a person who does not have access to such an alumni network, how can they go about navigate their space into, finding or raising capital just for their startup?
So it doesn't have to be alumni network of a B school, right? Right now, to be very honest, lot of founder circles are there. Lot of VC events do happen, and if you have a great so how I started my journey is I just went on to LinkedIn. I did my research as to who are these VCs who fund um, D2C brands. I just went on to LinkedIn. I sat on my pitch deck for I think a couple of weeks, really dwelled into it, created an amazing pitch deck, and connected with them on LinkedIn. They're very approachable, right? Because
Do they respond also?
yes, because if you think about it, even they want to find startups who are doing amazing work to fund, right? It's not that they're sitting somewhere and they don't want to fund. So even they want to find amazing founders, fund amazing startups. So they are very approachable.
Sure.
So you have a great idea and you're a great founder who can build something great. There are VCs and angels and investors that are approachable. But of course, it differs from person to person, how easy it is for someone to sort of navigate it versus someone else. Um, because the more number of people that I know personally might be more helpful to me rather than I directly just going and connecting on LinkedIn, which is
Yeah.
a super challenging journey in itself. But yeah, of course, some of them are privileged, some of them are not.
No, of
So
course.
it's everyone's unique journey.
So what's next, Shruti? What is the big thing that you are up to at Sleeplove, and how are you planning to expand Sleeplove overall?
So it's been a little more than 2 years that we started Sleeplove. Um, and there are a lot of big changes that happened this year. Like we got in a co-founder, we structured our core team. We found the product market fit. So we sort of actually paused um, um, over the last 6 months. And we are doing a lot of changes that are going to come over the next 6 months. Um, so a lot of big things to wait for. We are actually rebranding the brand a little bit because we understood the market fit. And the vision is that we want to be a platform that's catering to rest and restorative wellness as a space. Of course, we're starting with sleep and sleepwear, which is one of the most simplest of the solutions. But we want to get deeper and deeper into it and start finding solutions and fixes that are going to help people restore and rest better. So yeah, it's a long journey.
Yeah.
I think we are just getting started. So last 2 years has been a lot of experimentation, a lot of understanding the customer, and the journey is just starting. That's how I look at it.
Thank you so much, Shruti. That was all. Wish you all the best. And thank you for coming and spending time with us and discussing about your journey. It really meant a lot to us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed talking here. It's my first
Pleasure.
podcast, and it's a pleasure talking to you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you for coming.